It's been exactly, well, not exactly, but it's been over a month now that I've been doing Maffetone training. And today I want to take you through the highs and lows, kind of my tips for you guys getting started with Maffetone training, and just kind of give you how my training has gone from where I started last month to where I am now. It's a pretty massive difference, and I'm honestly quite shocked. But without further ado, we're gonna go get this run in the Saucony Ride 13s. Yeah, Saucony Ride 13, sorry. They are amazing. But anyway, let's get this ride done. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The Saucony Ride 13s are quickly becoming my favorite shoe of the year, but you guys are going to have to stay tuned for the full review on this guy because I have some good things to say about it. But of course, with good, there's always some bad. So if you're interested in this shoe, hit that subscribe button right down there and you'll see that full review very shortly. Now, if this is your first time on the channel, my name is Brendon and I am a non-elite, well, I'm not gonna call myself a runner, I'm really just a jogger. And I wanna share with you my passion for running and endurance sports. And right now we're doing Maffetone training, so we're talking a lot about that, putting out some good content for you guys on my journey and sharing some tips with you, running shoe reviews, all that good stuff. Just pretty much, if you love running, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're coming back to you every week with new running content. What I'm gonna do is compare my very first run using the Maffetone method to the run that I just did today. We're gonna see how my pace has decreased over the last little bit for the same heart rate. Has it though? I don't know, we'll have to check it out right here. Although I did do the data up, so I do know exactly what we're gonna see here, and it's quite surprising. There's a couple of factors that I want us to consider when we're looking at this data, because it's not just cut and dry, my heart rate's faster for a certain pace. It would be too easy if that was the case, and unfortunately, life just isn't that easy. So we have to take a couple things into consideration, and that is the heat and humidity. Those things alone will impact heart rate quite a bit. So if today for example, I think was 20 degrees Celsius and 91% humidity, so that's quite high compared to the first one I did where it was 12 degrees Celsius and something like 20% humidity. So much lower, and my body is better able to cool and all that stuff, which results in a lower heart rate in and of itself. So when you're looking at this, keep that in mind, and when you're looking at your own training to compare the baselines and how you're progressing, keep that in mind yourself. If you go out there one day and your heart rate's nice and low and you're feeling great, and then you go and do that same loop and you're not feeling great and your heart rate's a little bit higher, take a look at your local weather station, or if you use Strava, they have the information on there as well. Take a look at the heat and humidity. If those numbers are higher for that second day, then it's a good chance that you're equally as fit. It was just the heat and humidity wreaking havoc on your body. Now there's another thing we need to look at if our paces are a little bit lower before we get discouraged. We need to look at the elevation profile for a run. So if a run is a much hillier profile, you should really expect that your pace is going to be slower for a given heart rate because, well, hills, we all hate hills. Unless you are like super intense and you love running uphill, and if that's you, I commend you for that. For me, I'm almost to that point. We're getting stronger, and one day I hope to love running up hills. I want to actually start doing mountain running like Seth James Damore, but in Nova Scotia, Canada, we have very limited accessibility to those type of mountains. I want you to remember this when you're looking at your own data. If it's hot and humid, your heart rate's gonna be higher, don't get discouraged. If it's a higher elevation profile, your heart rate's gonna be higher, don't get discouraged. And with those things out of the way, let's look at these runs and see how I'm progressing over the last month. So if we take a look here at the run from May 23rd, I did a distance of 3.73 kilometers with an average pace of 7 minutes and 7 seconds per kilometer. Now, another really cool thing that the Elevate plugin for Strava gives you is the average climbing pace. And we can see here that my average climbing pace was 7 minutes and 19 seconds per kilometer, which is pretty slow, but hey, what can we do? We are just starting out. The elevation profile for that was an elevation gain of 27 meters, temperature 12 degrees Celsius, 28% humidity. But the power number here is something I use from the Stride power foot pod. So if you're interested in running power and how I'm using this for Maffetone training, leave a comment down below and let me know, and I'll do a full video on how I'm using this tool to kind of help me along my Maffetone training journey. Now, the average cadence, I expect this to be relatively low, 169, which it's not too bad, but it's definitely lower than what I'm used to. Now, all of this was for an average heart rate of 136 beats per minute and a maximum heart rate of 146 beats per minute. So I'm 26 now, I guess. I guess when I first started Maffetone, I was 25, but I'm not going to adjust my numbers. So I'm using a Maffetone heart rate of 150. So I have trained below my Maffetone heart rate this entire month. And there's a good reason for that, and I'll do a full video on it. I just pretty much just wanted to get my fitness back up to a certain level before I even push even harder than that. And even though we're not training exactly at our MAF heart rate, we're still getting those benefits, guys. So if we take a look at the run I did today, I did a distance of 4.86 kilometers for an average pace of 6 minutes and 11 seconds per kilometer, average climbing pace 6 minutes and 18 seconds per kilometer, a little bit less of an elevation gain at 17 meters, temperature 20 degrees Celsius at 91% humidity. So essentially running through soup out there. It was so insanely muggy. My average power, it was 220 watts. Not bad, but was our heart rate higher? Let's look right here. So the average cadence was the same at 169, average heart rate 138 beats per minute, maximum heart rate of 149 beats per minute. Now, keep in mind here, although our average heart rate was 138 beats per minute, which was 2 beats per minute higher than that first run, it was also almost 10 degrees Celsius hotter and like almost 100% humidity. So my body was less efficient at cooling. So of course, my heart rate's gonna be higher. And just like seeing that it's only 2 beats per minute higher is very encouraging, guys. It means that I'm getting more and more efficient at completing these runs. And seeing that power number be 30 watts higher, wow, I was actually completely blown away when I looked at this. I didn't realize how much more efficient I'm getting at putting out the power for that same amount of energy. I kind of expected my average cadence to go up just a little bit, but it's completely the same. So the only thing that has changed, looking at the numbers here for the pace increase, is I'm able to put out a little bit, well, not even a little bit, a lot more power for a given heart rate, which is fantastic. My maximum heart rate was a little bit higher here, but I did do a little bit of a stride towards the beginning of the run. I got up to like 3 minute, 30 second per kilometer pace for I think like 10 seconds or so, just to see how I'd feel getting up to those higher paces. And that's something we're gonna talk about here in a few minutes, is the downsides of this Maffetone training, because there are downsides. I want you to be aware of them before you continue on your Maffetone journey. This is stuff that I'm feeling myself and may not apply to everyone, but I'm just giving you guys what I'm feeling right here. So if we look at this, I'm putting out more power for a given heart rate, and if it wasn't as hot as it was today, I would assume my heart rate would have been probably, I'm gonna even say up to 5 beats per minute slower than it was, which is pretty nuts. So yes, the Maffetone training is working, but there are some cons, and should I continue on with this? Let's get into that right now. I'm gonna be a Debbie Downer first, we'll do the cons, and then we'll do the pros. If the pros outweigh the cons, you bet your bottom dollar we're sticking with it, but let's lay this all out here. Let's just put it all out in the show right now. It's clear that I'm getting more efficient at these lower heart rates, being able to put out those higher power numbers, those faster paces for a given heart rate. But there's a couple of things that I'm kind of worried about, and that is my slower turnover and sloppy form. And what do I mean by slower turnover? It's essentially lower cadence. So before I started doing Maffetone training, my cadence would be upwards of 175 to 180 within that range. So as you saw there, my cadence was 169. So I can definitely tell my turnover is a lot slower. And what this essentially will mean is that I'm not able to go those faster paces. It kind of feels awkward when I do try to get that higher turnover. So I'm gonna try to combat this by doing fast turnover drills over the next month and see if that helps. I'm gonna bring you guys along on the journey and update you guys on a weekly basis on how these turnover drills are doing and if I feel that it's helping. But today when I did that little bit of a sprint, I did feel extremely awkward getting that faster turnover. So definitely the slower cadences that I've been putting in for Maffetone training is impacting how I feel going at these higher paces. Now, I'm still able to get up to those higher paces. That hasn't been affected, but it feels kind of chunky. It feels like, I don't know, like I have clogs on my feet essentially, and my legs just feel weird. Now, by sloppy form, I mean I'm going so slow and I'm essentially just shuffling. So my body is kind of like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, where I'm just like shuffling along like this, and I don't feel like upright and strong and a nice stride. And that is completely on me. But I think it's because I'm trying to consciously remind myself to go slower and have a lower heart rate and less focused on being upright and engaging my core. So over the next little bit, I'm going to be consciously thinking about engaging my core, being upright and pumping my arms, getting my legs off the ground just a little bit higher, just to combat the sloppy form. Because if I continue on with the Maffetone training and put in a bunch of miles, it's just going to ingrain these habits, so I need to make sure to correct them while the going's early. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to combat these. All right, so those are the only two real cons that I can think of right now, is the slower turnover and the sloppier form that I'm feeling. Now, do you have this experience as well during your Maffetone training? Did your cadence decrease quite a bit? Did you feel like you had a little bit of a sloppy form? Or is there something else that you found for your Maffetone training that was a big red flag? Let us know in the comment section down below so we can help out everyone. But of course there are pros, and let's get into them. Now, the biggest one for me is I don't feel tired or sore after any distance of running. I can go out there for 45 minutes or an hour and I perfectly feel fine. My legs aren't sore, I'm not laying on the couch. After big training days of like tempo runs and all that stuff, I was on that couch. You bet your bottom dollar I was sitting on that couch, probably playing World of Warcraft, to be honest, just chilling out. But after these runs, I feel energized and motivated to keep on doing work. So that's quite fantastic. And the second one is that I'm able to run more and more miles, which is fantastic because I love running. I'm putting more miles in these shoes so I can review them for you fine folks. It's just a win-win. Like I said, I don't feel sore, so I'm able to get out there day in and day out. And I think this in and of itself is why I'm becoming more efficient, because I'm putting more miles on my legs and my body's becoming adapted to all this running. I love it. And the third one is very, very evident based on the data we saw before. I'm becoming more aerobically efficient. So when the time comes that I need to put those faster miles in, whenever there's races again, I'll be aerobically able to do that and push out those high numbers and potentially become faster and faster. Although my faster is probably your slow, so oh well, it's gonna be faster for me, and that's the best thing. So am I gonna continue doing Maffetone training? Well, there's 3 pros and 2 cons. I'm a mathematical type of guy, so we're gonna continue on with the Maffetone training. But all jokes aside, I don't see any reason to not do the Maffetone training right now. As I mentioned, there's no races in the forecast here, so I don't need to have that top end speed right now. So why not focus on building a nice aerobic engine, becoming stronger, becoming like a diesel engine, able to chug it out, and then eventually when those races do come back, hopefully I'll be able to put in this faster speed work and get it to like maybe the middle pack, maybe, we'll see. But yes, I am going to be continuing on with the Maffetone training, and I'm really looking forward to it. But should I change anything moving forward? I am going to do a proper Maffetone test because I haven't yet, which is silly. I know I should have done that like weeks ago. But I am going to do a proper Maffetone test in the next couple weeks just to gauge my progress in a little bit more of a precise fashion. Because what I'm doing now is comparing 2 different runs on 2 different courses, and it's just not the best way to do it. So I want to get to a track in a controlled environment and see what I can do here. And like I said before, I'm going to try to be consciously reminding myself to be more upright and engage my core more and include those faster turnover workouts just so I don't lose that ability to move my legs. So if you're not sure about the Maffetone training right now, I think just go for it. Just do 1 month of Maffetone and see how you feel. If you are progressing well and you are loving getting out there every day, just continue on with it. But if you get out there for a month and you are seeing progress but you're not enjoying it, just throw it to the side and do whatever makes you the happiest. Running is very individual and we're all different. So we need to do what makes us the happiest out there on the road, on our 2 feet, or on the trail. Just get out there and keep on running, keep on smiling. That's all we can do. All right, and with that said, that's gonna be all for today's video. I really hope you got some value out of this. Let me know down below if you're doing a Maffetone training or what type of training philosophy you follow. I'd love to hear. And we have a couple of shoe reviews coming up on the channel this week. We have the Adidas SL20 in-house where they rate right here. We have the Adidas SL20 in-house, so I'm gonna do my first run in these probably tomorrow morning. Really looking forward to them. Mr. Ed Budd, if you know who that is, got me to buy these. Love these. Love the look of them anyway. Haven't run into them yet. And then the Saucony Endorphin Speed should be here. I'm hoping tomorrow. We'll see. Anyway, guys, if you want to see those reviews, hit that subscribe button, and I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button just to get this video out there to some more people. And with that, I will see you tomorrow. We're going to do a couple days of daily uploads because I have a few days off of work. So I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.